Hello everyone. So after all these design approximation, the lead and lag and PID being a cascade of lead and lag, how do we relate these performance specification? So we start our time response analysis. We said that the performance was based on overshoot, it was based on rise time, settling time, steady state error and so on. Then we also had equivalent frequency domain analysis where we talk of resonance frequency, we talk of bandwidth, and how are all these related to each other. Okay, so how are all these related to design specification and how could we do this via lead or lag? So before we do that, we will just compare the performance specification both in time and frequency domain and see if they are actually related to each other. So what we have done so far is for the description and specification of closed loop in terms of overshoot, as I said, rise time, settling time, steady state error, and hence these are very nice to visualize, right? And this actually came up as finding all these were like second order system analysis, right? So all these were nice when we say that there are several poles in the system. Okay, but we have two dominant poles. But if there is dominant second order pole, maybe all other guys lying further to the left, there will be some zeros here or even here. Okay, so this is what detected my behavior of closed loop system. So all those analysis could be just made based on dominant closed loop systems, right? So however, we didn't really talk much about relative stability, noise rejection, and this was nice to understand in frequency domain in terms of what we saw when I actually add an integral component or a pole in my what was said as lead compensator. It had a good effect, two good effect. One was it made that derivative controller look a little more realizable, and it also had the effect of attenuation of higher frequency signals, which are essentially the noise signals, right? So and these are in some sense better to understand in frequency domain. Therefore we see sometimes these parameter or design specifications are, well, to loosely speaking, similar than the time domain. Simpler not in terms of that the problem which I gave in frequency domain, they are simpler than the time domain. It will actually turn out to be reverse, that this might need a little more trial and error or some approximation than design data domain. So simplicity come from this form 1 to 2 parameters, and I can actually get lots of information, right? So before we do that, we just find out what is the correlation between these parameters such as rise time, overshoot to it, and the frequency domain parameters which were resonant peak, resonant frequency, bandwidth, the gain margin and the phase margin, and so on. Again, uh, all over analysis of, for obvious reason, of dominant pole behavior was, or we try to find the correlation of second order system, right? This correlation holds very nice when the closed loop system has a pair of dominant poles, right? And for higher order system where there is a possibly no concept of dominant pole, we may have to do some better simulation to achieve the result. But for our analysis purpose, we just restrict ourselves to dominant poles, and that also gives us lots of rich information. Okay, so starting with second order system, I know all these formula, we well possibly by heart, right? So the overshoot, peak overshoot, settling time, rise time, I have this error constant, kp, kv, ka, and so on, right? So, and this is the time response of second order system. And at the same time, I also have frequency response like this. This is Bode plot diagram for typical second order system. I have resonant peak, so this is the resonant peak occurring at some resonant frequency, and these formulas we derive earlier. It will also have a bandwidth, right? And this one is the ugly looking expression guy, but I will just quickly tell you how to do it by hand. So I start with second order system, which is omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So when I defined the sinusoidal version of it, it is omega n square minus omega square plus 2 zeta omega n plus omega n square. Okay, so when I defined the bandwidth, I defined it as the magnitude is about 0 times the magnitude, initial magnitude. So magnitude of this guy is equals to 1 by under root 1 minus u square whole square plus 4 zeta square u square, where u is omega by omega n. Okay, this I have defined earlier. So first is, how do you define the bandwidth or even the cutoff frequency, right? So this is a frequency at which the magnitude of response is 3 dB, okay, or below, right? And the bandwidth isn't defined as 0 omega in between 0 and omega b, right? So how do we define this? We just take the transfer function and evaluate it to equate it to 1 by root 2. It is absolute scale. In log scale, we have 20 log t j omega, which is equals to minus 3, and I will just keep the computation because it is just kind of business, very manual, right? So you can just do it by yourself, and then I can say that bandwidth is related to zeta and omega, and why this, this ugly expression here, square root inside square root and so on. So I will not ask you differentiate this or anything like that, but we will just try or not even remember this formula, only to show you that there exists a relationship between bandwidth, which is essentially a frequency domain concept which relates directly to omega n, and zeta, which comes from the time domain specifications, right? For a system to track input quickly, it might have a larger bandwidth, and this again comes from here, right? What is bandwidth is depending upon omega n and zeta, right? However, sometimes it will be it is not desirable from noise perspective, right? Because if I have a higher bandwidth, as I saw when I were just having a pure derivative controller, it was all pass filter, and it had the drawback of not dealing very well with high frequency noise signals, right? So in practical, we will actually look at the trade-off between good and bad, right? Now MR, or the resonant peak, it depends only on zeta. So somewhere here, when we also have the formula of resonant frequency, so in this case, well, it has exact correlation with MP, okay? And if I just draw MR, so look at these formulas, right? They are kind of nice. So if MP, the peak overshoot in time domain specification, is directly related to zeta, nothing else. Similarly, MR also has a relationship. If I find MR here, will give me a value of MP also. I could corresponding find the value of MP, right? Now I can do it all the time. Let us just see that, right? Resonant frequency only exists for these frequencies, right? Therefore, whenever I look a correlation between MP and MR, and just from here till here, till it is 0.7 times, okay? If you just because of resonant frequency, okay, and there is a direct correlation between MP and MR, okay? And then this is really too much of concern, not really, because the peak overshoot or for zeta being greater than 1 by root 2 is very small, right? So for a given zeta, either the bandwidth or the resonant frequency can be used to specify omega n, Okay, so giving these guys, now I can compute all the things, and therefore the bandwidth and the resonance frequency influence the rise time and step response. Of course, I can just, based on formula of rise time, I can compute when, well, how is this related to bandwidth and omega r. Larger the bandwidth, smaller is the rise time, and so on. Okay, and could just be computed by just looking at the expression. So this is my bandwidth expression, if you will see in last slide. Okay, so the aim is not to introduce you to complex formula which are difficult to drive and even worse to by heart, just to show you that there actually exists a good correlation between time and frequency domain thing. And in your end, your exams, wherever you take, or if you take this, I will give you all the formulas which are required for you. So you don't really need to memorize formula, you just need to, which how is approximation of these formulas look like. Okay, so what are can we conclude, or based on all these things, right? The exact correlation holds for second order system between time and frequency domain specification. For higher order system, if there is a pair of dominant pole, then we can still use this correlation, right? And as said earlier, the frequency control design gives us little more information than time domain. And I will still very carefully use the word simpler, right? And of course, specification in frequency domain after designs are translated back to time domain to verify the time domain requirements are met or not. And again, for higher order, we may need to design through extensive simulation, but then these are not very important word at a moment, right? So basic understanding of second order system will gives us good amount of intuitive while we do this an analysis of higher order system, just based on some lots of experiments and simulation. So what we have done so far is quantitative analysis of both integral and derivative component. And we have also saw where the practical issue of reliability, well, we saw accurate saturations and so on, and we had some approximation of these components called lead and lag compensation, and we saw also how the performance specification in time domain and frequency domains are nicely interchangeable. Okay, so that's all for today's lecture. Thank you.